Assessor, it was 2017. So 5 years from that date is slightly different. However, like in everything else in government, it depends on what legislation has been passed by Hartford. And there has been a number of legislations related to the town of Orange and deferment of the implementation of a revaluation over the years. And so in order to give you a better understanding of my analysis, that's why I went through a history from 2011 forward. And that picks up on page 2 of my memo. And so just for the members of the public, back in 2011, we were scheduled to conduct a revaluation. We got permission under Public Act 11239 to delay that from October 1, 2011 to October 1, 2012. The town's next revaluation following its 2012 reval was then scheduled for 2017, October 1, 2017. But after Public Act 11239, the legislature passed Public Act 17240, Section 5, which delayed our reval from October 1, 2017 to October 1, 2018. Now, again, I discussed with the assessor today, that's why I believed it was October 1, 2018, based on that special legislation. However, the assessor said the reval was conducted in 2017. I'm going to confirm that with the assessor, but let's just go with it for the moment. If you carry it forward, and specifically if you look at the Undersecretary's memo of September 7, 2021, the Undersecretary goes through this entire analysis. And what we had done is, because we didn't want to get caught in the future, we wanted him to memorialize his understanding now based upon our corrective statements to him. And he does exactly that in this memo. So he concludes, upon this review, the town of Orange is not required to implement their next revaluation until October 1, 2022. Okay, that's page 2 of his memo.
Just let me get there, Vinny.
Yes, sir.
And if you can educate me on something when we get there, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, and actually I want to back up for a moment and just
Go ahead.
say that revaluations occur once every 5 years. Okay, so what you would do is say we've conducted a reval today, for the sake of this conversation, you would count forward 5 years. That's when your next reval is supposed to take place. But because of certain factors that occur in the economy, from time to time over the years, since actually 2005, the town has sought legislative permission to defer and to phase in. And that has happened, I'm going to say, regularly over the years, and it was all done via legislation, okay? So we do not have the right to deviate from the schedule unless the legislature so authorizes. But so every action that the town has taken has been subject to proper legislative authority.
Vin,
Ms.
educate
Leahy.
me here. First of all, in this memo,
Yes,
in the paragraph that starts with the words "for these 5 municipalities,"
yes.
I'd like to get quickly educated as to the following statement. As this legislation was compulsory and not mandatory, can you help me understand in practical terms what compulsory but not mandatory means?
Yes, so it was a municipal option. So compulsory sounds like
Yeah, sounds like you have to do it.
they have to do, but it was actually a municipal option. So it required action by the municipality to delay the revaluation. And so that means action of the legislative authority. The legislative
In
authority
town,
is
yeah.
the Board of Selectmen in town.
That's the first thing. Second thing, going back in your memo, which I really appreciate you spending the time to do this in such short notice. But in your statement here, right on this second page, on the history. So I'm reading it, right? And I'm seeing number 1, we were supposed to do it in 2011, but we delayed a year,
Yes.
right? But after we delayed a year, it got to 2012, then we flipped up 5 years later. Okay? So when it gets to 17 and we delay a year, why aren't we flipping up 5 years later to 23, which would next make it, we're right in tune right now?
Right.
Am I missing something here?
Yeah, well, what you're missing is it's driven by the language of the legislation. In some instances, the legislation says that although you're deferring a year, the 5 years starts from the year that you should have conducted your reval.
But that's not what that was.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
And that's where the confusion lied with the OPM in 2021, because the legislation did not say, start counting 5 years from the year preceding. It was 5 years from the year that you actually conducted your revaluation. All right? So, and with the, now where do we stand today? So when we trace our way forward, we have our 2011 reval gets deferred to 2012. 5 years forward, 2017. We have this legislation that allows us to go to 2018. My memory isn't exact on whether or not we did or not, but according to the undersecretary, we did, so I was going with it. But according to our assessor, we did not. Regardless, you would go 5 years forward from the date that we conducted our last reval, 2017 or 2018, which would be 2022 or 2023. However, as we exhale, what happens is there's additional legislation. And the legislation says, if you, I believe, scroll to the next page,
Just tell me where, man.
so, where I say notably in his memo. All right.
Oh, next page.
Top
Sorry.
page 4,
Yeah,
Jim.
there we
Right.
go.
Okay?
There you go.
So as I'm saying that it should be 2023, again, we can say 23 or 22, depending
Yep.
upon which it is. But what the undersecretary's memo in his, so what happens is the legislature passes Public Act 22-74. 22-74 now has this legislative idea of creating regions, with 5 regions within our state. And under the thought process that municipalities are going to be able to cost share with the costs associated with, revaluation and and services, that we're going to create these regions, and every municipality within the region is going to conduct a reval on the same date.
There are 9 of them, right?
There are 9 regions.
9,000, yeah.
Right, but, and what I did here is, and I'll pass around so you can follow. And I highlighted for you, and this is only, I gave you section 7 of the Public Act because I didn't want to kill trees.
Oh, you get a couple.
Do you need another?
No, we got an extra.
So, section 7 of Public Act 22-74 repeals and replaces section 12-62 of the general statutes. And if, what I did for you, although mine, I think I gave away my copy, but that's okay.
Vinny?
Yes.
You can't be doing this without a copy. Come on.
No, I have a copy here, it's just not highlighted. I have it here. If you look at section B1, thank you, here, Jim.
Joe's got 2.
So if you look at section B1 of the new legislation, it says commencing October 1, '06 and until September 30, '23, each town shall implement a reval not later than the first day of October that follows by 5 years the October 1st assessment date on which the town's previous reval became effective. Then there's a proviso. Provided a town that opted to defer a reval pursuant to 1262L shall implement a reval not later than the first day of October that follows by 5 years, the first date on which the town's deferred reval became effective. Says the same thing. When your last reval became effective, you count forward 5 years. October 1, 2017 plus 5 is October 1, 2022 by my math, or October 1, 2018 plus 5 is October 1, 2023 by my math. Exhale. All right, let's move forward for the sake of this moment. If you go to the attachment, Mr. Leahy, that follows Undersecretary Heff's memo, his second memo, there's a listing of all the towns in the state of Connecticut,
Oh, we went through this last time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
right? And if you go to the town of Orange, which is on page 3 of that reval schedule,
On the bottom, Jim. There it is.
Right in the middle of our screen right now.
Yep.
exactly, you'll see reval prior to Public Act 2274, he says 2026. I just read you the language of the Public Act. That cannot be correct as a matter of fact, let alone as a matter of law. Right? He then extrapolates from 2026, 26, then he goes 30, then he goes 35. However, for just giggles, as we say, if you, Mr. Leahy, go back 2 pages, because within our now regional, I think it's the Southern Regional
Southwest,
Reval District
Yes.
or zone, and I'm just going to pick one, Bethany,
Oh, Vinny, I got a slide on this. I did the
Okay.
same thing.
okay, is within our zone. Under no circumstance.
Right here, Vinny, you can use this.
Yeah, so under no circumstances does the OPM schedule dates to get municipalities within the zone to coincide with the same year. And I think by their schedule, it will not ever be regionalized, definitely not before 2040. So I don't believe the reval schedule that has been published by OPM conforms to the law in the first instance. But, and what's been articulated by OPM is, well, it's going to take time. My reading of the law doesn't give OPM the flexibility of that time. Okay? But when our, when we, and I'll just use the proverbial we, I've not spoken to OPM yet, but when we speak to OPM, they say, well, there's a caveat in the law that allows us to compel you to do this in 2026. So you only got 2 years. I said, show me the law, right? Because I'm reading the law, and the law is pretty straightforward. And nowhere in the law, other than saying in subsection now B, if you go back to what I handed out to you, what is highlighted, it says, commencing October 1, 2023, each town shall implement a reval not later than the first day of October that follows by 5 years an October 1st assessment date in accordance with a reval schedule prescribed by the secretary for the revaluation zone. If you look at the published schedule, it's not done by zones. Okay? So I don't understand how what is being published by OPM conforms to the law. And looking at the history of revals in the town of Orange, again, at worst, I believe we're scheduled for October 1, 2027, and at best, October 1, 2028, depending upon when our last reval occurred. So for purposes of moving forward, my thought process is this. If it's 4 years, it should be a factor of 25. If it's 5 years, it should be a factor of 20. We need to, meaning the phasing in of the assessment, which would have an impact
20%.
on.
Then.
What's that?
Percent.
Yeah, percent, yes,
Percent, thank you.
percent. So, yes, I apologize for speaking like everyone knows what I'm talking about. So, so we have a reval that went into effect that we're allowed to break apart by a factor based upon the number of years that remains in our term until our next reval. We don't know what that term is yet, but we know by under no circumstances should it be less than 4 years. And it probably could be 5 years. So the recommendation from this body, because you're correct, Mr. Chair, you don't have the authority to do anything other than make recommendations, and then the Board of Selectmen can take that under advisement, would be that the Board of Selectmen should adopt legislation to implement the assessment, the incremental increase in the assessment through a phase-in, of not less than 25, of not more than 25%.
So, but Vin, basically, we make a recommendation to them where they should support our recommendation.
I would see no reason why they wouldn't.
Peace.
But again, I don't want to speak for that body. That body has its own mind. But yes, so yes, if there are any questions.
What he just said, does somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion for sure.
Second.
By a sheet, any further
Yeah, so
discussion?
just a quick question. So the minimum, Vin, that you could assess per year, or the max is 25%. You can phase it in at 25% over 4 years, but I don't believe you can go under 25%.
Well, if we had 5 years, we could go 20.
Yeah, but I read somewhere in the law that you couldn't go under 25. I mean,
It depends which, there are 3 methods.
Yep,
And in one of those methods, yes, it would be 25%. But this would be under the first method that the statute lays out. And it would basically be, the factor would be the number of years in your term.
Gotcha.
So 5 goes into 120%. But what the thinking here is 25% because I'm hedging on it's October 1, 2027. Now, if it's, again, as,
If
so-
new information comes out between now and the special Board of Selectmen meeting, they can adjust that.
and,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
could make the adjustment.
they could
themselves.
adjust it.
We're just basically recommending.
Right.
Correct.
So
There
we-
is a
we-
phase-in of
yes.
And,
whatever is
right.
allowable.
And if it turns out, because again, at the end of the day, we don't want to, if we don't want to fight with OPM and OPM says, no, it's 2, then it would be, as other municipalities have done, 25% and then 75%. It would be,
or 50/50.
well, once you've implemented 25, you're left with the balance.
Right,
Right?
right.
So, but I've discussed it with the assessor. Right now, we're in October 1, 2023 in that year. Then we go October 1, 2024, then we go October 1, 2025, then theoretically, we revow. So, right, so technically, we have 3 years, even though they're saying you got to revow in 2 years.
Because
But
it's only 2 budgets.
But they're not gonna send us a payment for.
So
the-
how did OPM come out with a schedule that they advertised to the entire state without checking the law? How did that happen?
I
I mean,
can't
it
speak.
sounds like the left hand's not talking to the right hand.
Listen,
Evan, they sent out this.
I see it. It's
And Woodbridge
that
and Bethany are
all,
completely
everybody
different.
look at, look
They're
at
not
that,
on our
look
same
at
agenda.
yeah. I mean,
Look at this.
it's full of errors.
let me
There
answer
is-
it. Let me answer the question this way. They believe that they're in compliance with the law. That's why they sent out what they sent. And it's for us, look, I just recently, when they changed the law, changing municipal elections from May to November, one of the things that affected Woodbridge and Bethany was they didn't extend the terms of the incumbents. So the incumbents' expired terms were going to expire on the day of the election.
So you have no
you know,
Board of Ed or first.
so
Select.
unless you
a
swore someone
Wild
in,
West zone
right?
from May
so,
to November.
So it happens, right? The people are passing laws and they're not looking at the consequences. They're not thinking. And
Yeah.
look, what I stand firm on is I'm comfortable in my analysis. I think it's driven by fact and it's supported by law. And like in 2021, when we got the undersecretary to issue a memo, I think after consultation and understanding of our reasoning, we'll be able to get similar response. And if not, we'll deal with it. But you know, I believe we're well seated to take the position that we're taking.
I have no idea. So has this letter gone to the OPM yet, or no?
No.
Okay, all right, but it's going to,
Well,
or some form of
Something like
communication will.
between the assessor and myself, we'll be in communications with OPM.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, you know, I always defer to the assessor because this is an assessment issue. It's
Right.
not a legal issue.
Right.
Per se. And, you know, but I will be hopefully speaking with OPM's council of lawyers to get their understanding and hopefully make them understand ours.
Kevin, I know we have a motion on the table,
Yes.
and we're still discussing it, but I would like to make a point for everybody on this team, and any, particularly people in the audience, but I would like to make it after we conclude our vote on the motion. But it has to do with that paragraph up there
Yeah.
that I pointed to a couple of people on this team. But I don't know if you want me to do it now or after.
No,
the
let's
vote.
finish the motion on the vote.
The last meeting, though, we did a motion to this, not the same wording, but Mr. Leahy made a motion to recommend to the Orange Board of Selectmen that they approve a phase-in of the impact of property reevaluation to the maximum extent in accordance with law. Dr. Mann seconded the motion and all were in favor.
I think
Okay,
that's
so-
still good.
So then we don't even.
Yeah, so there's no
So you
action
wanna
necessary.
Rescind your motion.
But thank you for verifying.
Rescind that motion. In other words, it's the same thing as in the upper, on the
so the
yellow up
motion's
there,
good.
right?
Right.
To pursue best available, we put more words around best available. I'd like
Now,
to,
we have the town attorney presenting to us, so we have
Well, maybe what
Clarification.
you do is
confidence that,
just,
We accept the,
now that you have
The
town
report.
attorney, accept the motion, redo the motion that you did last month, maybe, and just say rescind any
maybe
previous
it's
motion.
Well,
Maybe
you know,
it's
the
just-
reality of it is.
Nothing's really
Action.
changed. though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's the
The
reality.
actions that we're
You're
hearing.
talking about factors. The factors are driven by terms.
Right.
So that's going to work itself out once
Yeah.
we figure this out. So what you've said is
Right.
the most that you can say.
That's correct.
Okay.
So
So-
let's not screw it up by voting twice.
no, we'll be good, and I appreciate John catching that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
and we say in our notes of the meeting that you would be
already- yeah, it's already in the
contacted.
meeting.
Yes.
The town attorney would
yeah,
be
so I
contacted, so I think
appreciate
we're
your
good.
time and your efforts on the,
Well, Kevin, here's the thing I would like to point out to the team and to the people in Orange, and anybody else who
It may
works.
take you a year to get this straightened out.
Well, we'll have it a year, so we'll figure it out. This is for Mr. Lee.
I will want to just focus on this paragraph that starts with the year, there is no mandate. And
No changes to municipality schedule.
by aligning revaluation dates by geographic region, and I commented immediately, Kevin, to you about this last time. A much larger, and I didn't have this in front of me, a much larger parcel set is established and can be utilized in the contracting of revaluation services. This creates economy of scale. Talk about stuff you hear at Harvard Business School forever, and, you know, the proof is in when it happens. Greater efficiency and potential, that good old potential for cost savings, all of which will directly benefit municipalities. Now, here you have a state who's coming up with this plan that can't align their valuation dates in the thing that was right in front of this plan, saying, wouldn't it be great to have all these, and we have all these benefits coming here. A casual conversation with John in his office between last week and now, I find out, well, what are they gonna do? Tell us who we have to,
No,
use?
it's
Mr.
got to
Leahy.
go out for RFP. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to put it out.
Mr. Lee, I just want to point out one thing while we're
That's
looking.
amazing.
While we're looking at this, what's more important to me is if you look at the prior paragraph,
Yes, sir.
there are no changes to municipalities scheduled for a 22 or 23 reval. If we conducted our reval in 2017 plus 5 puts us at 2022.
Right.
OPM would put us back to 2021, which would make that an inaccurate statement. And, you know, not only that, but when you look at the plain language of the newly adopted legislation, you know, again, it says 5 years from when you last conduct it. So, you know, the undersecretary's memo is inconsistent with the plain meaning of the legislation.
Vin, I'd like to, this memo here that you had highlighted, you didn't have a chance to send it to me highlighted with color.
I'll send it
Would
to
you
you.
send it around so the team will have it in its records, at
Abs-
least my copy of it, and I'll
Absolutely.
distribute it to the team. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing with regionalization, there's only a small number of firms, of valuation firms that actually can do this work. They're large firms, but to handle 9 cities
All at
in
once.
1 year, I don't know how they would actually do that.
Especially when
Well,
some
they
of
must be
them
doing
are
it now, if there's
cities.
186
No,
of
but
us.
revaluations take time.
and
Yeah.
but you can alter them however you want. You're not doing it all like this.
All I'm
this
saying
set
is this,
schedule.
if there's only 2 of them, Kev, right?
The
And there's
last bid we
180,
had was 2.
What's that?
The last bid we did for the
Yeah.
one current one was 2.
if there's 186
The
of
last
them,
bids we had was 3.
and it goes
so,
over
yeah.
5 years, there has to be 33 of them, right? Yeah, 30, more than 33, my math is wrong. And so, you know, but to say they have economies of scale, I mean.
Well, the economies of scale would be for like communities like, I think like Orange, Milford,
What's the activity they are doing?
Woodbridge. I think those 3 you could align, but
But-
to include New Haven and West Haven.
But Kevin,
I don't
what
see
is
where you're
the
getting the
act- what
value.
is
I don't
the
see where you're
work
getting the values,
activity?
you know?
What is the work activity that provides economy of scale? Specifically tell me. That's the type of question I would be
Well, that's a
asking.
question for OPM. It's in the
That-
document.
Great,
And-
but they can't even get dates right in
Right.
their own document,
And by the way,
let alone follow the law.
the schedule that I would follow, go into 2028, would put us in lockstep with towns of Bethany and Madison, which are more comparable communities for purposes of economies of scale,
Right.
rather than, again, East Haven and Hamden and New Haven.
Right.
So to further the legislative intent of Public Act 2274, our proposed schedule seems to
Aligns.
further that legislative intent.
Yeah, I would love to see what the parameters were for how they set it up.
'Cause it
But
looks
the
like
the
just
legislature
proximity
didn't
rather
set
than-
parameters, they left that to OPM, but they said everyone does it in the same zone on the same year.
And
That
then
was
the
their
backup
param-
schedule is completely different.
And so unless anyone has any other questions for me, if
No, we'll let you go and,
I have to get up to Monroe.
Hey, Jim,
This-
Vin,
this
would
is-
you like to borrow my book? I have 2 copies. I was cleaning out my bookshelf today.
Yes?
This one's called F minus. I think you have a customer that might have.
I would
might
love,
have
I would love to
and I-
peruse.
all right.
It's an extra copy. You can have it.
Well, thank you. Thank you all.
right.
And
Thank you, sir.
this is, I'm going to take this as a borrowing, not a gift.
And
All right.
we appreciate your future assistance at that Board of Selectmen meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, be well.
You
See you-
too.
See you, Vin.
Okay, John, back to you.
Okay, John, you said you wanted to start at certain one, and I
Do
forgot.
you want to go back to the minutes?
Oh, yeah, we have to do the minutes, right.
So then how do we get back to budget discussion?
Well, let's take, can we take a break?
Then we go back to it.
Okay. All right, so
Do
we'll
we need
go-
a motion to go, to now take a break from number 6 to go to number 3, or?
I think we could just do it.
Oh, we'll be okay. All right, so we'll
Okay.
do it's a discussion approval of minutes from March 18th, 2024, regular meeting.
Baseball season starting soon, John. I assume you're still batting leadoff, right?
Okay. I only had a couple things on the top of page 2. The date, March 4th, 23/0/24. This needs a correction there, the 3 taken out.
Very good.
On the 1, 2, 3, third paragraph, and I'll need help with this. I don't remember speaking about road paving, but if you guys think I did, we'll leave it in.
I was the one who brought that up. It was kind of a neglected conversation. I don't think it was in this piece of the meeting, but there was a time, you might say, Mr. Leahy also mentioned perhaps,
But this was your name. out for
potential
mine.
transferring of, I don't think, and you could take out the one additional. I think you should put dollar signs. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's the way I would do it on 1.2 and 1 million. Those would be 2 edits I have.
And then on the motion for the reevaluation, instead of extend, is that the right word there?
Extension,
You're right, maximum,
possible. How about possible rather than extent? In other words, a phase-in of the impact of property revaluation to 4 or 5 years, to the maximum number of years. How about that, in accordance with the law?
yeah, that sounds.
Is that better?
If everybody agrees to that.
Everybody good? Should get Anna in on this, and she's our English whiz.
And then on the
Among other
next
things.
paragraph, about the 4th sentence down, where it starts with Cifarelli mentioned that Mr. Williams found $100K from the old bond that will,
Will? Okay.
instead of can, we said that will be used, and it is being used. And then on the last page where I spoke about the money coming from the state for the early voting, that was 10,500. And that's all I had.
Team, I got a couple of things on page 2. Oh, in the big long paragraph, the second bullet under item 6, the last sentence, I would have ended it this way. The board members agreed with this, that this loss from OV&A cannot be sustained long-term, and they will review this matter, I put the word matter, I like to have a noun in there, more closely when they receive the current year operating data. Take out the numbers, current year operating data. or current, you could take out the word year if possible as well. Is phase-in got a hyphen or not a hyphen? I'm curious, John. Is it just phase-in?
I think it's just phase in.
Okay.
I think it's just phase in.
Okay, good. That's the way I typed it when I went back to look at my own stuff. In that, fourth paragraph, a bullet under item 6. In the last sentence, there will be, I think it would be better said there needs to be. Will be kind of suggests you have a
And there
date.
doesn't need to be, because we said if we couldn't get a quorum, so it's not needs. There needs to be a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen, but not a joint meeting.
Okay.
That's correct.
Oh, okay, then you're editing more than there will be. There needs to be a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
Yeah,
to
because they're the only
approve- I would
authority that
say-
can-
I would take out the who would, to approve and vote on the property reval phasing, as recommended by the Board of Finance. I would even
Yeah,
extend.
because ultimately, they're the only authority
They're the
that
only
can-
ones that can do anything.
Right.
Okay,
And just because we didn't know what the maximum
Timing.
allow,
Yeah.
I'm just going back to this motion, maybe we can say that they approve a phase-in of the impact of the property reevaluation to the maximum number of the years in accordance with the law. Because that's what we said.
yeah, no, that's, I
Because
think
we didn't know if it
already-
was 2 or 4
I think we
or
already
5.
did that
Yeah.
edit.
Okay, I just didn't know if you, don't put 4 or
Great minds
5.
think alike, that's
Yeah.
what I see.
Yeah.
All good. That's all I see, Ken.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to approve as amended?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Second, Diana. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous.
All right, now we go back.
Okay, we'll be back to our budget. Or do we want to deal with the capital first, John?
I put it there, I don't know if you wanna do budget first, capital first.
Would be better to do the budget.
Whatever.
It's kind of all the same. but
Yeah,
The
well, let's,
budget, we'll go back to the budget.
I think, yeah, okay, so John,
that ironed
if we
out.
start straight with the budget, we have a bunch of files open here. You wanna start with revenue and expense to get that out of the way?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so we're gonna go team to the revenue and expense, which I think was in our,
What I did is I went back and I changed some of the numbers according to our meeting last week. I corrected the Amity number on the expense side. On the revenue side, I zeroed out the library fee number since the Board of Selectmen made a motion to waive those late fees now. And then I just did it today. I put the numbers all in the Board of Finance recommended column, but they're pretty much the same numbers that you had last week that I sent you, just updating
so if we slide all the way down,
items
we'll
as
see
we
that
go.
83 million thing. 83, 815, 766, which seems to be the same as down here, right,
Right.
team? Everybody good?
So that's the number we have to get for to balance it in the tax area. Jim, if you go up to the tax area again,
The,
just so I could explain it a little bit more. You're on the. oh,
You wanna
you're
go
on
on the revenue side?
I wanna go on the revenue
yeah,
side.
roger that, okay.
Okay, so until we know, and I talked to Rancasi, and I thought what I could do is take the new reevaluation, take last year's, not reevaluation, grand list, take the new grand list, take last year's old grand list, subtract out the difference and take whatever percentage we need. Told me I can't do that. I can't come up with the mill rate like that. He's gonna give me a whole new grand list once it's decided on how many years
Well,
of
Kevin,
the phase.
I think I have more confidence in it happening this way than what happened 15 years ago, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it 10?
We had a surplus and then that turned into a deficit real quick.
Yeah, when I started, yeah. Okay,
So,
well,
so a
whatever,
lot
it's all
of,
good.
so what's gonna happen, since I can't come up with a grand list, a mill rate number, our booklets that go out, they usually have, if the budget passes, the mill rate will be this. I'm gonna have to say at time of publication, it's an unknown number.
It is.
But we should have.
We set the mill rate the night of the budget vote.
Yeah, but we've
In the
always had
past, we've acknowledged what it, but we just don't know what it is right now.
Right, right.
But we know what the percent overall increase in spending is.
Yes.
We just don't know what.
Right.
the-
Well,
What would the
I would
actual
think by the night of the budget hearing that I'll have that number by then.
But the books will not?
We better.
I hope so.
When's
But
the night of
books
budget
will
hearing, the
not.
25th?
25th,
Well,
25th.
what, this is kind of important, yeah?
It's not gonna happen because the Board of Selectmen's not meet until April 11th. And I gotta go to print way before that. I'm going to print the week before.
Okay.
So the only thing you won't have is the mill rate,
Correct.
Mill rate. Mill rate.
which in years past, we
Well-
haven't always had, right?
No, we've always had it. We've always.
I don't think
we've
we had it
always-
when we did the 5-year phase-in, I don't think we had it.
I don't know. I wasn't here for them.
Yeah.
But for my 7, 8 years.
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah,
being
because we
here,
haven't
we've
had
it.
this.
But
Yeah,
Kev,
this is the first time you've
We
had it.
haven't had a phase-in.
Right.
Kev, we'll have the mill rate. We just don't know whether or not, how much taxing we're giving to.
No, we won't have the mill rate, because the phase-in's gonna adjust the commercial and the residential to a different dynamic than they're at now.
Right.
Oh, so when I come up with this chart here, like this, or whatever,
Now, go to my mill rate calculation
okay,
chart.
will do,
That'll be a better one to use.
okay?
That number up there in real property is gonna change. Like I said,
Right.
if you take, I thought you could take last year's taxable amount,
Take the difference.
take the difference, 25%, whatever it is, and then figure out the mill rate like that. And I did it today, just to see how close.
Yep.
And I could tell you what I came up with if you wanna. Give me a second, I can pull it up. It's not gonna be up on the screen because I'm not tied to the screen.
But he's just gonna have to take that new net grand list, you know, all the increases, and just modify it by either 25% or 20.
Right.
But the mill rate will now change, Kev?
Oh, it has to.
Yeah.
So
Because
this
that
mill rate,
grand list is at 100% of the
As if we were
38%
gonna-
increase in the 18.
If we were
We're
gonna
gonna
implement.
be knocking that down. That's gonna change by a significant amount.
it'll go up, right?
No, it'll go
I
down.
did 20, when I did my little calculation that Mark says I can't do, I did 20%, and the grand list would go down to 31.4 to raise the taxes we need.
From 32.7,
Right,
yeah.
right. That's my
Yeah, the mill rate
figure.
will go up, but the grand list will go down.
Where'd you get the 32, Kev?
No, the mill
I'm a
rate
little
will go
lost.
down, the grand list will go
Oh, you
up.
look,
Yeah,
by
because he's
20%.
phasing it in over.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. But
5
that
years.
grand list will go down. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
that would
okay.
be over 5 years, 20%.
So what we have here is a total taxable amount that assumes that we're phasing it, it's full in.
That's the
That
full
is,
in
yeah.
number right
Okay,
there. The
okay.
20% in my figure, again, Mark says I
Right.
can't do this.
Right.
My figure is 1,984,299,199 at 20%.
Well, whatever, if Mark says we can't do it,
Yeah, so
and you
we'll see
you
how,
work with him.
we'll see how, I got the number I think. We'll see how close we are when he gives it to me.
Now, this is the same number that we talked about last week, in case there's people watching at home, right? Okay. And this one here is
Actually, that number came down a little bit. Last week it was
269,
26.29.
right? Okay.
Right.
So, in here, we have this amount of money,
Right.
and what we can do, I believe it's right here, yeah, is kind of just peek at the revenue, because the revenue, these things have to match.
Right.
In other words, this 75 here matches this 75 down here,
Right.
right? And of course,
I
if
think,
you put it in a
I
different,
believe when you do that, every year we're off by a little rounding.
Yep.
And I usually add something into the expense this
Right,
year.
right, to make it balance.
Yeah, this year we're off like $5,000 and I'm gonna take something somewhere out of expense to make
Roger
it
that.
balance.
okay.
I didn't wanna go up another tick on the percentage
For 5,000,
there.
no.
Yeah, wasn't worth it.
Kevin, I have something that that I kind of did a sensitivity analysis on, and it's relates to these two documents here, because what we said last time in another source in our revenue, right down at the bottom of our, I believe it's down the bottom here, John. Oh, when you put these things this way, you can't scroll them down too easily.
So we're set.
You need a motion to bring this budget now to the public hearing on April 25th.
Well, I'd like to surface an issue. I don't know if it has to do with this motion or not, but I'm kind of dealing, here we go. And we are putting that 1.2 million out of our bank account in here, right, John?
That's out of the reserve, right?
Yeah, we went over that at the last meeting.
Okay, well, what I was doing, team, was this. Here, I'll put it this way. I was asking myself this question. I basically changed this number here, which will change your number over here. Right, and basically what I did is, I'll just make them all yellow so you can see them. I basically got up by, well, 26.25, 26.3545, 26.550, see what I'm doing, Joe? And what you got, every time you put it up by that, I'll call it a tenth, it's a tenth and some decimal point. It goes up by the same amount each time, which mathematically makes sense. What I was trying to do is, how much would this have to be raised so that we weren't using up that 1.2 million? That's what I was trying to ask myself. I was just curious,
That's a good,
You know.
question.
you know?
John, you said 750 of that's coming from the Amity piece?
Right.
Yes.
Right? And so it's really about a half a million.
715.
Well, here's what I then did, Kev, is this. I then went back to our property, all of us,
Yeah.
right? And again, since we've been using the home I'm most familiar with, what I did is, here's your 2625, right? So hold that thought on, I'll just write it over here, the 6604 was the total tax increase under, 664.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, and that's it, what I'll call the 26.25 model of the universe, right? And so then I said to myself, well, what would happen if I made this 26 point, I'm gonna go for the whole shebang, Anna, and go up 5 of those points, okay? And so it turns out this is, you have to kind of go into the cell to do it. I had to figure that out, but I did. And so now you can see what that would do, if I did the numbers right, 26.75, is that would make this number, whoa, I didn't change it here. Whoa,
Yeah, you gotta do that.
no, it's not done.
No, it was the 26.
No, Kevin's got it right. Kevin's got it. So it's 808. All right. So we probably shouldn't have used the pennies, you know, so you go crazy. So you can see the difference between the two is what each house, or at least an average house, my house, I'd be paying $144 more in that model of the universe, and I'd be asking you guys, is the math, do you think I'm doing the math right? But what I was trying to do, again, was ask myself, okay, if for some reason we wanted not, and I don't think I'm for this, I just was curious, how much would I have to raise that mill rate in order to cover the 1.2 or thereabouts, right? That we're taking out of our fund balance, right? No. So I think that told me that, okay, that's the number, and that number is not small, right? You could see it would add not just
We would make an already bad year
right, worse, yeah, but I figured it was worth the analysis, so I will go back to here and put in the proper number. But I just wanted, in case someone were to say, hey, that's a good idea, but that's the analysis I did, for what it's worth.
Well, and I appreciate you doing that, Jim, because it kind of gives us a concrete explanation. I wonder, and it's not a big deal, but the 26 point, I think, 4 or 5 that you had up there.
Oh, on the
got us-
other thing?
The other thing got us to that. Yeah, 26.45 was at that 578.
Yes,
Which again, that
That
plus
would
the
get-
Amity would actually, the Amity break, right? Because if 700 thereabouts, 700,000 thereabouts is, we're getting back from the Amity break. that would actually get us to that 1.2. So you wouldn't actually have to go the whole shebang. You could go to 26.45 if we didn't want to touch the fund balance. But I'm comfortable
I-
using the 500,000 in fund balance.
Okay. The,
So it wouldn't go
so
up
anyway.
by 144. It could go up by maybe 70.
Yeah.
So I did that, and the only other thing I did was I just updated these slides, so when I send them out to you tonight, I updated them so that they had the proper numbers, because it came down a little bit. The 488 didn't change, if you remember, but the amount, remember John said the amount had come down a bit, so the slides now reflect that. And the only one other thing, as a summary slide, I'll show you is this one here. These are just various phase-in options, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, even a 4 year. And here's kind of a summary chart of the percentage increases, using my 495 Lambert Road only, but as a proxy, and how much percentage it would go up by each year.
Makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, yeah, last time it said 4.0, when I discovered it was 3.96, I said, we should advertise 3.96. And so I put it out to 2 decimal places. So when I send this out tonight, you'll have this as well as the other slides that pretty much are the
I
same.
mean, John, is there any discussion about the phase-in as far as shortening it? Or is there a discussion that 5 years is the way to go?
That's up to you guys.
That's really up to the Board of Selectmen, but.
Well, your recommendation to them was basically the
maximum.
maximum.
Well,
yeah.
we had a motion last time, Kev,
Yeah.
and it kind of said what was on this thing. I wrote down
Yep.
unanimously, I thought
Yep.
everybody agreed, I think it's in the notes.
Yeah, that's-
Best
The
of
most we can do.
you know? So,
Okay. So then if we're good with the fund balance, is there a motion to allow John to send this updated budget to print?
Let's use
For the hearing.
Sure.
Let's use the number on the expense side, make that part
Yeah,
of the
I'll make the motion to send to print, or I guess that's not the right word, the
Into the
budget for
public hearing.
fiscal year 2024-25, to present at the public hearing a budget of $83,815,766.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain?
I'd like to
unanimous?
add to that motion,
Thank
that would
you.
be a 4.45% increase, that's just the numbers that's sitting right there.
Okay. I lost my, here it is. Okay, item 5, discussion and possible vote to transfer funds from general fund to capital fund.
So, Johnny, what are we
Now,
looking at?
what I could say here, if you don't wanna do this now, you probably don't have to do it now. The same thing with, voting to approve any capital. If you wanna wait until April or May, you could probably do that.
Can
It's
we
up
tee
to-
up the discussion now on what we would support?
It's up
from-
it's up to you
The
guys. I know
thing
we
with me
usually.
now is, okay, my brain's not working. To give public, if we're gonna fund paving, to give them a chance to.
Yeah, I think that's
To get
more,
that ball
because
rolling.
they gotta get the,
Right.
You gotta get moving.
yeah, they gotta get the
Get a
heads
plan,
moving
get it
because
planned out.
they gotta get ahead of the game. So I would, the last time we had a number in this, I don't know whether it was this one, John, or the fund balance one. Let's see what the fund balance had.
I think it's the fund balance one. There's your 1.2 million for the budget stabilization that we just talked about for the new
Right.
budget. And we said if we move another 1.5 to
Or
capital,
Capital.
that would I then have the new numbers, it's a little different. 8315, we said 766, I got 133 for some reason. I
Okay,
got
hold
a
on, we'll get the
difference.
right number in, no problem.
It's not gonna matter.
No.
$600 doesn't gonna
Well,
matter.
I mean, it only takes 3 seconds to get this number right. So let's just get the number right, right? So you just copy it, right? And then we go into fund balance. And if we paste it as a value, then we're all good. And then we come in screwy. All right, so now all we have to do is just use this one. Right? So we'll just grab it from up here, Johnny. All right, and do the same thing down here. All right. Okay, so now we got new numbers. Last time I remember putting in something like this, paving, like this. I don't know if it should be separate, John. I'll be happy to, do whatever you
Well,
want. But
you shouldn't put that in there because the paving you take out of capital, out of the capital account. You don't
Yeah,
take
it's
that
at
out of there.
1.5.
Oh, we have to
So,
designate,
so
okay.
you gotta figure out what you wanna move to capital, and then out of that, you gotta decide what you're gonna do for paving or any other capital.
Okay, so I'll
for
put it over
anybody.
here. If we put a number in there, I can put paving over here and say, some number.
Million
If you,
bucks.
if you kinda agree to that 1.5, then let's go to the capital account, put that 1.5 in, and you'll see what the new balance is. And we could talk about paving and some of the other capital items. There's one item I think you really need to move on. The police department needs some new servers down there that are part of the capital account.
Put that on
Well,
And it's.
what
it
I'm trying to
runs
do,
their-
John, I'm trying to get to the point when we subtract another million or whatever that number is, that is directly connected to paving. I want to see what happens to this fund balance.
No, that's the
Well,
one
you've done
point
it
five.
already.
There's a 1.5 transfer there now.
Okay.
If you agree to that number, then that goes over to the capital side, and that's your money you have
And
for
we have that,
capital.
and then we can decide.
Of which,
Well, then we could say some other number than 1.5.
You
Correct.
could, you absolutely could.
Okay, so in me trying to put in a line for paving of a million or pick a number, at least it's a placeholder, I'm trying to do two things at once here.
yeah, you're trying to determine out of the
You're double
1.5.
count, we're gonna end up double counting
Well,
that number.
Out of the
I want us-
1.5, how much is paving? That's what you,
well,
yeah, yeah.
we don't have, on that capital sheet that we do with that Ralph, we never have paving on it.
Yes,
we-
we have. Yes, we have. We've taken money out of there for paving in past years.
No,
Last
we're
year.
taking money out of capital for
No,
paving.
no. We take money out of our fund balance and move it into capital, and then pay the paving out of capital.
Correct.
Okay, all I'm saying is that when we get together with Oakenquist crew,
Right.
right, we're not seeing capital on that
No,
list.
because he doesn't put capital on his list.
Okay.
Now, he doesn't put paving on his list, he puts capital on his list.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so to
Right.
me, I
Paving
see it
is
as clearly a
outside it.
separate thing. I see the math, you have to go to capital before you distribute it, I'm in on that. But that leads me to, since we're probably gonna be spending more than 1.5, this number's way too low.
Well, I don't want.
You don't want
I don't
fund
want you
balance
to
going
go
down to
below.
15%.
Well, that's
Right.
why I'm trying, well, let me put down 2.5 and let's see what happens.
And then there's other things coming up, like they're doing that.
Roger that, but I'm trying to get to what happens
Well, I
to
want,
this
I
number.
want us to know all the possible capitals
Right.
that are coming up.
Okay, so where's that?
Where's that sheet?
Where's the sheet?
The capital sheet, you got it open there, right at the
No,
beginning.
but that doesn't give us what's coming up.
No, you gotta
We
go
haven't
to.
approved anything yet.
No, you gotta go to your book to look at the sheet that Oakenquist gave you, that we gave you with Oakenquist.
Okay.
And even on that sheet, there's things that are coming up that were beyond his purview.
Okay, so since we're gonna discuss this tonight, I'm very happy that we have here somewhere in this computer, the town budget. Is this it, Johnny?
Yes.
Yes, that's
Okay.
it.
Good. All right.
And you could take number one off of there.
That's done?
That's
That's
being
being
handled
done.
by bond funds that we've had left over.
That's
All
right.
right, so we can,
And that contract was given out.
so
this-
project cost, we can put it in 0 for our purposes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And cumulative money, I must have put that in. There we go, okay.
And that 150's gotta be zero.
Yeah, we can take that off. Okay, so now we can kind of do
And
some,
my most important one on there is number 3 for the police department.
okay?
That runs his cameras, that, the schools, they oversee the schools
Yeah.
and power supply.
All right, So capital reserve, so that would be capital, so I'm gonna throw that as if we were throwing it in, sounds like we are. So, and we can add that thing up at the bottom once we get done, so that'll be a fast way to do it. All right, any other things, Johnny, from your perspective? You're closer to it than we are.
Kevin, what do you wanna talk about that bucket truck that we talked about?
Yeah, I think we could spread that over 5 years.
Well, I could tell you, I
Is that
had,
lease? Yeah, lease.
I had Britton get a price, and he was able to get the price to me late today. I could tell you what it is.
176,815.20.
I sent it to you?
Yeah, around 4 o'clock, I
Oh,
think.
okay, I told you I got it late.
Now, is that that's the real cost rather than 170, Kevin?
Well, there's some other things they gotta add to it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Yeah.
like 192 or something.
No, but there's a discount on the 29, but then you have, it's basically with the interest, it would be 45.92 a year.
45? No.
$40,592.
Oh, 40,000.
So I would have them do that, because we did that 20-something years ago, and that truck's still on the road. And we had, did it, so we didn't pay it all up front. We spread it out over 5 years, and, whether it's in the operating budget next year or capital, it's not taking all the resources this year.
So if we say this heading of this column here is 24, 25 capital, is that a proper heading, Kevin, what we're starting to put in here?
Yes.
Okay. And then we can add them up at the bottom, but we can get a running total too. 5-year plan, I guess, I'm just trying to document something as we go.
John, what about the police department roof? I would think that would be a priority, no?
He's been asking for it for about 4 years. It's 50 years old. At some point, we're either gonna do it proactively, or it's gonna leak like the fire huts over here, and we're gonna have to do it
There's no
emergency.
5-year plan, we can do,
Is there another one on there besides the
are
police
we
department?
financing that 5-year thing, Kevin?
That?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
What I would put in, if you wanna, Jim, I would add a line there and put in the paving.
Okay.
And see what your totals are adding up to.
Okay, so we don't want that to be that way. So we can just do it this way. Okay, so we have a paving,
And there's other issues with Public Works, right, John? Isn't there like a bucket, no, the backhoe and a chipper or something's broken?
He's talking about the backhoe is pretty old and the chipper doesn't work, I guess. But I don't have any,
Oops, wrong
I
one.
think the
Details.
backhoe is on
We
there.
have road paving down at the bottom,
do we?
yeah.
It's at the
Number
very bottom, I
30.
missed
Oh,
it.
yeah, 1.2. There it is.
It's already
Oh,
there.
it was on the list. Stand corrected, thank you.
Might as well highlight it.
All right, whether or not it's that number, but you're correct, Kevin, thank you.
Right, we don't, no, it's-
Probably gonna put something in it, right, so we'll just put it right there.
I would also do something for the school.
The HVAC upgrades,
That's a big nut.
No, I would,
That's something you got
that's,
to bond for.
that's
Yeah,
a, that's a problem, because as I said before, well, Anna, you probably weren't
Oh, this is
here.
a problem, right, John?
That's only
yeah, that's.
for
I
the
remember
air
saying.
conditioning. It doesn't include any of the electrical or anything like that over there. They're talking about 10 million to do that, somewhere in the neighborhood. They're actually doing a study now. They hired last week a company to do a study on all their buildings.
Board of
Roads,
Ed?
everything, yeah, to see what the systems are and what condition the
building condition
buildings
study.
are, yeah.
Mark
So I don't know what's gonna come back with that, but, you're looking at old buildings, so who knows?
Wait for the interest rates to drop again and do
And
it.
that
Bonds do
number-
a big bond.
And that number 31 right there is a big one also,
In schools,
Oh, that's the culvert project.
yeah. And they're working on design.
31 number or
Think,
31 Excel sheet?
31 Excel sheet, I'm sorry.
looks like
I
that.
should have gave you the number.
So-
No,
But,
it's okay.
but it's just
Yeah.
something to think about that is coming down the road.
So that one is, that project is not covered by ARPA funds at all?
We have $1 million in ARPA funds.
Yeah,
Available.
we have that sheet, we have 1 million,
Yeah.
that's all we have left.
Now, is the engineering and design work for Brookside
1289.
Drive being
Oh, no, that's
paid
got-
for
Being
by
done right
ARPA?
now.
What
By
am I-
ARPA funds?
Yes, yes. You guys voted for that
That's
a
what I
while
thought,
back.
yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna write total here while we're chatting. Okay, so.
Put a number in for your paving too.
You just gotta drag the 1.2 million over, or whatever number.
Well, we can drag it now, I'll put 1.2, but, you
Yeah, it
know,
could change.
eventually we'll see what we got.
Okay,
You know,
and then
'cause
I
that-
would go up and I would do something for the school up at the top there.
Okay,
If you go up towards the top, Tim.
yeah, I will. Thank you, John.
I would do, either 7 or 8, or both of them if you feel comfortable doing it.
How about we throw all three of these
What are
in?
hands-free fixtures? I probably asked that day, I don't remember.
You know, you go to
walking
the
through.
sink and you wave your hands and the
Oh, okay.
water comes out and things like that.
It never comes out, it
Yeah.
shuts off after
You
2
gotta go like
seconds.
this.
Yeah. Yeah. My problem seems they never go on.
Yeah,
Well, I've gone in places, I put my jacket down on the thing, and all the water that's coming out in the jacket. All right, well, there's 1.8 million, if you wanted to do the roof at the police station, 400,000 for the roof, and 1.2 million for paving, be 1.8.
And we have a total of 2.789 if we transfer 1.5 million tonight.
Does that
You-
include the paving? Did we put anything down in there for paving?
He's got 1.2.
I put 1.2.
Great.
so you got 1.8, you're up to 1.8, Jim?
Yeah, I got 1.8, so let's just put 1.8 and just see what happens on the other sheet, okay? So fund balance, John, you make that 1.8, is that what we,
No,
No.
wrong, we gotta go to the
Sheet.
capital.
I'm in the wrong sheet, sorry. So,
Correct. You
right
had-
there.
Yeah, put your 2.5 million in there that you had over on the other column.
It was
We were
1.8.
gonna do
No,
1.5 to move.
Well, he had 2.5.
I know, but that,
thought.
he was just,
He
he
was
was
just
just
doing it.
looking, he was
Oh,
just
oh,
musing.
oh.
Oh, no,
Okay.
I was just doing, I mean, we could put in a very specific number, 1811, and find the number.
No, don't do that. You make it an even number. You don't wanna.
Okay,
Okay.
now that's a
and then-
negative, right?
No,
No,
Still good.
that's what, that's
It's a
you showing that as
transfer
the
in.
transfer amount now.
Oh, oh, thanks, Kevin. So, we basically have
so now
spent,
you. so
we
now
still have
you-
a balance here of
You
3
have a
million.
balance of 3 million, so now put your
Minus the
number in.
1811 if you do
Yeah.
that.
Oh, no, I think that's, oh, I see you,
Put
So-
your 1811 in there someplace, not there.
Not there.
oh,
Either
okay,
end.
I see, well, let's put the actual numbers in, I mean, it isn't gonna take that long, right?
Just copy and paste, yeah.
Make it
Yeah, I
negative.
could copy and paste, let's just do it,
Right,
let's,
then it'll-
let's
Apples
get
to
a couple
apples.
of ways of doing this here. So, where is the other one? It's, inbox, no, it isn't. It's
No, you had it
revenue.
open,
it's-
Oh,
right?
request, right.
This
Next
one here?
That one.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. So we got 1, 2, and we can slide up. So what I'm going to do, yeah, I just
I'm
put,
looking for the good news in the budget. Is there any good news in the budget?
yeah, Joe, we're taking care of our people. That's,
phasing.
you know, so I'm hoping that
Spreading
this
out
goes
pain.
in. Well, Joe, there's an option here. Oh, I see, I did wrong way. Sorry, team. Paste it as a value. Okay, so, and these are all negatives, correct?
Yep.
Yep, yep. So, oh man. Here we go. Okay, so we'll be down to 1.3 if I've got it right, Kevin, and while you guys are chatting about it, I'll just go grab the names of these things. So those three are these, I think, Joe. And let's see, police server, I guess we got that already, right? So I have 5 different things, which I think matches up with what we have over here, Kev. We got the 40, we got the 78, the 36, the 400, and 1.2,
Yep.
right?
Where's the police?
Isn't that the first one?
Police server?
That's the 40?
40,000.
No, the 40
no,
is
that's
the
the truck.
bucket
That's
truck,
It's a truck, you're right.
Oh,
That's a bucket truck.
oh,
item 3 up there.
item 3.
That's the servers. That's the most
Yeah,
important
that's the
one.
most
Okay,
important
so-
one.
So I'm gonna put that there. I'm going to
And that's for
put this number
55,
here,
Yep.
40592, I think it is,
Yep.
right? And this number is incorrect.
55,
What is it, Kev?
55,
Thank you.
879.
879.
879, thank you, team. Which would make us down to 1.2. And we need a name for the, there it is there. And I think that's that
Say
one,
call it a day.
right?
I would, because
Yeah.
we could take another look at it later.
Yeah, it's not urgent.
All right.
The only thing,
I won't,
I vote on the bucket truck if we can, the paving, and the police server, right?
yeah, I won't let him, for the server, I'll let him go out and start ordering that, because there's probably a lead time on that. Just about everything else, I won't let him, well, maybe the bucket truck, everything else I won't let him do until the budget
Yeah, because
passes.
if he's got this quote, do it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the last one lasted 24 years.
I need to run that by Jimmy too, because it came in too late. I wanna make sure it's what he wants before they actually order it.
You mean the servers?
No, the
the bucket
bucket truck.
Oh, yeah.
So who got this? Is this
Bob
Donnie?
Britton.
Oh, Bob Britton, okay.
Well, he got, I think the mechanic down the garage got it, but
All right, so we're saying, Johnny, that we are, what, tonight, voting to consider or vote to approve?
all right, you got a couple of things.
We gotta-
First, you're gonna have to make a motion to move the money from the
Fund
fund balance to capital. And then you're gonna make a motion to fund those items out of capital.
So fund balance to capital, we're gonna move
1.8.
Yeah, change that, get rid of the
2.5.
2.5 and make it 1.8.
1.8.
Negative.
Thank you, John. All right,
So are we comfortable with this?
Yep.
okay, so that takes care of that.
We know we're gonna have some other things coming down the road that we don't wanna, we don't wanna wipe out the capital balance or that balance, and then,
Right.
John, we have the ARPA balance of $1 million, but
We're gonna have to do something with that by the fall, because
Pretty soon.
it has to be
Has to be obligated.
obligated by December 31st. I read a spot where it said you might have to have a contract.
You
Well,
do, you do.
do
You
we,
do.
is
You
this,
do. So we might-
is this
We're gonna
being
have to
held
decide.
for like the culverts? Is this?
Well, that's what my thought was, because they're doing one in the spring now at Old Country Road that we funded, that in case they run into some problem, that could be where we could get the money to solve it. They're getting money to do Pine Tree Drive from the state or federal government, and we might need some
So,
money
so
to
my
cover that.
question would be here. Do we leave the 1,093,000, or do we take 300 out and move it, and put it towards roads to get that up to 1.5 million?
Oh, that,
But I don't wanna
That's
overspend if we have
that's
areas.
the
that-
idea, you wanna
know
do that.
more than me.
My-
Kev, we did this last year. We only authorized Donnie to do $1 million, then we gave him the other $500,000
In the
for the,
summer.
for the fall, because
Okay,
remember that
so
they
then
do
we'll
it in two pieces.
Then we'll do this 1.2 if everybody agrees.
You gotta be good
Yeah,
with that.
and then if we have a little bit more for.
Then we'll wait and
And
get
that'll
more.
give us a little time to.
See how this happens.
Right.
Okay.
Because we may also be able to use that, I have Art checking, we might have some money to be able to do that problem over at the pool that we didn't do because of the cost. Remember the last bond? We had money in for the dehumidifier
Oh,
up
yeah.
at the pool. We
Dehumidification.
may have some money to be able to do most of that. So we might need a little someplace else, and that might be a good
Okay,
place
so we'll
to
just leave this alone
use
for
that.
now.
Yeah,
But by the fall, we might have to designate all of this.
right, and get a contract.
Yeah, you do. You have to obligate
It
it
is,
and have a
okay.
contract.
So we
Yeah.
got, that's money on the table.
Yeah, we
I mean,
need to take that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's gotta-
It's gotta be obligated by
mean,
December
what-
31st.
I'd fire myself if we
If,
didn't take
if
care
the
of that.
worst, if worst comes to worst, what we do, we use whatever's there for paving, and we have Bob go out and pre-buy the asphalt. We've
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah.
And we designate, so we have a contract.
Worst
to be able
case,
to
and then we'll
cover
use
that.
other money for the other things if we don't have it. Okay.
Right, right.
Okay, so Kevin, we, first of all, we have this sheet, so I'm just gonna save this thing. But I'm gonna put this now in the folder for tonight.
Can we get a
This is
quieter
done.
chair on the budget?
Yeah.
Let's see, this is this year, and we're talking tonight, which
Actually,
is
the
the home
chairs in the
stretch.
back that we're gonna replace here came from the library. She got a grant for new chairs over there. And we're taking the ones
So-
she had, they're pretty good shape.
Let me do this, I'm gonna call it, OBOF.
Didn't this table originally come from Bear?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
03
Remember that. I used to work there.
-25
So were the chairs, I think, right?
Yeah, the chairs are from there too. Yeah.
And all our office equipment, I think, came from there too,
Okay,
right?
that'll
Yeah.
work. All right,
Right,
so
we need a motion to first move the 1.8 from fund balance to capital.
sure.
I'll make a motion to
Go ahead,
move the
Ken.
1.8 from fund balance to capital to fund the projects for the upcoming year.
Okay,
We have a motion from Kevin, is there a second?
sure, I'll second it.
Second by Jim, any
Joe, you wanna do it?
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, now back to the capital sheet, Jim.
Capital sheet, roger that. Which is this one?
Yes. So John, do we wanna do just one motion for the top three?
Yeah, probably, right?
One, yeah, this is where I think you said vote.
Or do we take the next two also and just hold off on the roof for now?
I thought you were gonna do them all, actually.
Well, we weren't sure, you said maybe to wait for the budget, but,
Oh, you could do it all, subject to the budget passing, if you wanna do the motion like that.
Okay,
Can they still act,
Well, no, we
though?
wanna do the paving right now.
yeah, that's what, we wanna make sure that a
Oh.
couple of these.
Just-
go
That he gets
forward.
permission to do it
Just-
right.
You know what, just pass it all, and I'll be able to hold it and not, let them have the funds unless it passes, other than the
Okay, so
paving.
But if-
the police roof is critical?
Yeah, let's do that.
let's vote on them, man.
What's that?
But if
Are we
we
gonna
make a
vote on all of them?
motion, if we vote to have all of this go
Funded.
forward, irrespective of whether the budget passes or not, it has to go forward.
It's coming out of capital,
Yeah.
yeah, it's happening.
But it's not coming out until I allow it to come out.
That's true, well, that's
So
true,
I-
always the case.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
have the
won't,
purse
I
strings.
won't allow them to go out on the roof or the bathroom stuff until the
Until we
budget
have some sort
passes.
of budget passed, okay,
Right,
Yeah.
and eventually.
and
there
I've
has to be
done
a
that
budget.
before.
Yeah.
And
And
to
there's
be
no,
fair,
and there's no stipulation that the funding has to be approved,
Tied
or it has to
to
be
the-
tied to July 1, right? It could be
No,
done before
no,
that. Right.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only the budget
right,
has to be.
correct. Yep.
So we need what motion?
You need a motion, and I would name each of those things with the dollar amount, or,
Okay.
or as recorded, and Deb could put them in.
Well,
With the
let's go
proper
through and
amounts.
say, Deb, here, listen, we're gonna do a motion for 6 capital items.
To allocate money from the
Right.
capital fund
All right.
for the following items.
You got that? Deb? Okay, paving, 1.2 million, you can see it. Police server, you can see the number there,
55,879. Yep.
all right. Replacing the bucket truck,
The
40,000.
5-year lease, yep.
Five-year
Five-year
lease,
lease.
40,592 for next year. Bathroom renovations in Peck Place, 78,000. Bathroom fixtures in all the schools, 36,940. And a replacement of the police department roof, 400,000. That's the motion.
second,
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous?
I think that's
Good.
Thank you.
work.
Yep.
Get that.
I was on that roof years ago as a tour.
I was too.
On the police roof?
Yeah.
He took me in
Johnny,
Audrey
you
up
need
on
me
it.
to-
We might call through now.
Wasn't fun.
John, as I'm doing these, do you want me to be sending you what I have here?
Yeah,
that's
because I'm
documented?
gonna copy 'em into
We'll
my
do that
stuff.
before we leave tonight. We don't have to do it during the meeting, right?
Okay, we already took care of 7 under the budget, so item number 8, discussion and possible vote to allocate funds from special duty account to purchase 2 police vehicles
Okay,
for
we've,
$120,000.
yeah, we've done this in the past. This was his request and his budget for the 120. This account here is the police special duty, which I have a good balance in. And we paid last year for 2 police cars, 2 motorcycles out of it. And we could do the same thing.
Is
pay
this the
for
one,
these.
John? I just want to make.
Yeah, that's my actual worksheet to,
Okay.
to do
This is
it.
different.
Yeah, this looks different.
This is the last item
Yeah, that's the last
for
item.
the server room expansion.
Okay.
What do we already
Oh,
do?
that's the last item, okay. Hey, you're right.
Where
You're
am I,
right.
Johnny?
We don't have it.
You don't have it.
Okay,
You don't have, it's part of the budget discussion though.
Okay.
So I need somebody to make a motion to expend 120,000 out of that account.
Out of the
that
current
is,
year budget.
Current year
Yeah.
budget.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kevin,
I can second it.
second by Joe.
Joey.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
And this
Unanimous.
won't wait for the budget to
Right.
pass.
Yeah, this is in the
just
current
get
year,
done.
yeah, right.
I mean, there's a lot of leeway on the police cars now waiting also.
All right, item number 9,
I
apparently
think
jumped
we-
the gun
we
with the
did
general
that.
fund, we already
No,
did that.
It sounds like next year we'll put that one earlier than.
This was under, budget discussion is everything, and that's all,
Yeah,
we're good there.
but
Sorry
it's
about
good
that.
so we make sure we do it.
I'll get
so.
sanctioned for going
Yeah,
out of order.
what 6 should have underneath it is
Yeah, all those.
5,
Okay.
10,
Everything.
9, whatever. It's all
Okay, now
good.
Jim, you could go back to
Okay,
that
request to
other.
transfer funds for server room expansion at the police department. Apparently, that's gonna be 83,000?
Yes, I think I gave you the quote too. I might have given you the quote.
Might be a sheet right here.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. right
CSP
there.
Communications?
It's really more, but if you remember, about 3 years ago, you allocated some money to do it, and it never got done because it was more, the cost came in more than what we allocated. So he's kind of been working on this for a couple of years, and he's got this new quote. It really needs to be done. We've added a lot of servers down there. One of the servers that run the phone system for both the town and the schools is down there, besides all his other stuff. He just got a license plate reader that he's got equipment down there for, and this room really needs to be
License
expanded.
reader on the car, right?
No,
On the,
on a pole,
Oh,
on a pole.
because he already had it on the car, right? We have,
Yeah, but now they're better on poles.
So John, is this upgrades for a server room?
It's a service room that he's gonna,
Yeah.
he's gonna take some of the hallway away to expand it.
Yep, gotcha. Now, who services the IT for police? Do they have an internal police officer that
No,
handles the
well,
IT?
they have a guy that helps, but
Yep.
it's pretty much Paul, Josh, and Chris.
Okay,
And this motion here, if you allocate the money, will be subject to Board of Selectmen approval of the contract. Because we really don't meet as a group till May, because we have our budget hearing in April. It's gonna be on the Board of Selectmen's agenda next month.
So we're transferring money out of one to another?
We're
Looks like-
transferring it out of his labor accounts,
salary accounts.
salary accounts, to this other, building repair account.
Okay.
He's got a little extra money in the salary accounts like he's had in past
So-
years,
So it's
a good
went over a
use.
threshold that all of a sudden has to come to us, or do we do?
It would fall, if we didn't take it, it would fall to fund balance.
Oh, okay.
right, yeah, he can't move money without our
Right,
approval.
labor money he
Right.
can't move. Nobody can move labor money without your approval,
Right.
not even myself.
He's got a vacancy, does he have a vacancy in the supervisor's line item? Is that
He
like
did
a-
for a while,
Yeah,
but you said
but
he was
he's at,
fully staffed
he's at
now.
full staff now.
Okay.
So do you want to make that motion?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
83,000.
Any further discussion?
83,000 from the two counts
From the two different
specified.
salary lines.
Subject to the Board of Selectmen, we had your language. so-
Right, subject to the Board of Selectmen approving the contract.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, unanimous. Great. I never thought at 7:25 I'd be going to item 11.
Motion to adjourn.
Was there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Meeting adjourned at 7:25.